What up, y'all? It's a Robot Watcher. Grab your binoculars, and I'm back with a quick little recap. You feel me? So today we're gonna discuss some Fan Fest stuff, not necessarily the stuff around it, but the actual football and what I seen. I didn't have no tape, so it is a little hard to kind of get as detail oriented as I usually do. But I'm gonna try my best. So if you like the video, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. This not gonna be too long of a video. Something real quick just to get this out of my mind while it's fresh on it. You feel me? So yeah, do all the YouTube stuff, and that Jalen Coker video is coming soon. I just recorded it, so I just got to edit and put it out. But this probably gonna drop on Sunday. So yeah, let's get into the rant, man. So yeah, I got my notes here. You feel me? It's not too many. I don't know, it look like a lot, but it's not. So we gonna go off, you know, the important stuff first, and we gonna run it down and be, like I said, as detail oriented as possibly can without having film. I do got clips from Fan Fest to post so y'all can see the plays that I'm referencing. So yeah, let's get into it. First thing, Bryce was cool. I know that's what most people want to talk about, how the Bryce look. Probably, I want to say they might be talking about T-Mac, but we'll get to T-Mac very soon. But Bryce was cool. I mean, he had a couple missed throws. He was a tad off the Thielen a little bit, but it hit him in the hands. It wasn't like it was super bad. Just a tick off there. The XL throw is something we'll cover a little bit. I don't think it was underthrown. We'll get to that in a second, but that was a really, really good throw to me. If you look at it, he was on the move, about to get sacked, and just flinged it 45, 50 yards downfield without his feet set. So, good pass in my opinion. But we'll talk about that later. He was a tick off to T-Mac on one throw, which was a slant. Everybody reported it as a drop. It really wasn't a drop. It was behind T-Mac, so it was a little more on Bryce than it was for T-Mac. But yeah, Bryce was cool. He had some good plays where he was making some really, really good throws and really good scramble drills and scrambling, getting a couple yards, making lanes and things like that later on to throw into. Doing regular Bryce stuff, but then he was also just a tick off. It was raining, so guys were slipping, things like that. Like T-Mac slipped on a couple plays. But yeah, he was cool. It was nothing crazy. He wasn't going like insane, trying his hardest. You know, he was cool. It looked good though. Next, T-Mac. Let's talk about it. T-Mac was kind of chill. Almost. They started out the first 11 on the first off. Fan Fest was just straight up scrimmage. It was a 2-hour scrimmage. They had a halftime, came back out, kept scrimmaging. Maybe not 2 hours, like an hour 15. But yeah, T-Mac, he came out, man. The first drive, I mean, they threw it 3 times, and all 3 times was the T-Mac. So hey, if you seen my tweet about putting it in for Offensive Rookie of the Year, do it, because he's going to get force-fed in this offense. And he drew a lot of attention. I remember specifically there was a play where they were in empty. I know Dunk posted it. I didn't get a recording of it, but it was an empty. They had Mitchell Evans outside, Jatavian Sanders in the slot, XL in the slot. Then you had T-Mac in the slot, and then the outside receiver was it Rico Dowdle or Chuba Hubbard, one or the other. But T-Mac ran a slot fade. It took the linebacker, it took the safety, and it took the corner. Left Chuba open for a wide open hitch, and he, turned in, ran for about a good 10 yards. So the defense is paying attention to him a lot. He's going to get force fed a lot, and you can see the chemistry start forming with Bryce a little bit. Like, he's getting to the spots that he needs to be. Like I said, he did slip on one comeback route that he was open on. He did get a good break out of his route. He did get a good break on that incompletion, that Bryce threw behind him against press coverage on a slant. So he looked really explosive out of that play. I wish I could kind of zoom in so y'all can see like I usually do, but it kills the quality. But I got that play up for y'all. So yeah, great releases. He looked pretty explosive in the short area, which is what you want, so he can beat that press. Good hands. Didn't have any drops. I know he had that one, but it wasn't on him. It was behind him. So yeah, cool. It was chill. It wasn't a T-Mac day. It wasn't his day. Not necessarily saying he did bad. It wasn't his show to do. You feel me? Next, I do want to shout out Corey Thornton though. I'm gonna let y'all know now, Corey Thornton will play a lot. Right now, he's our CB3, could end up being our CB2. He is a undrafted rookie out of Louisville. I did do an article with him. I might have to link it somewhere in the video so you can click and go read it. But he's a bigger guy. You already know how we like our corners. He's 6'1", 6'2", something like that. He does run like a 4'6", so he's almost like a little bit of a Mike Jackson kind, but he did good. I mean, on T-Mac, he was kind of in phase a lot. He got beat a couple times because it's T-Mac, but he was in phase a lot. When it wasn't T-Mac, he was in phase on Adam Thielen, triggering towards the ball in zone when they're running these short hitches and things like that. That's another thing. It wasn't too many shot plays drawn up for the first team offense, but there were some explosive plays. We'll get to that though. But yeah, shout out to Corey Thornton. Do not be surprised when you see that undrafted rookie listed as your corner 3. Or your outside corner 2, whatever you want to call it, in the depth chart, because I think you're as a depth chart, it'll be 2 outside corner ones, I want to say. But yeah, your corner 2 or corner 3, whatever they have it listed as, he's that next man up when somebody goes down. Proof today, JC didn't practice. It was him and Mike Jackson out there the whole time at outside corner. So, and he looked good. So shout out to Corey Thornton out of Louisville. He is an undrafted rookie. So, hey, we keep finding these undrafted gems, man. I'm just saying. But let's move on. XL. I think my video caused a little bit of a debate with XL. Not to, brag on me or nothing. But XL on that deep play. Let's talk about him overall. I think he looked really, really good. His presence felt much more than when I went to the 2 training camp or 3 training camp practices I went to last year and watched the preseason game. He was almost non-existent, and there was maybe a play here and there, but I felt his presence a lot more today. And what's most importantly, I seen his speed on display. I have the clip for when he ran that route, which we'll talk about it later on that big touchdown. But what shows most with him is how fast he was on that play, burning angles like that to get that yak. We talked about how he struggled with yak last year and also struggled catching the ball. We'll touch on that. But that was most important to me. I felt his presence a lot more. He was just as present as T-Mac was. Those were probably the 2 most present receivers in the first group. And that's what you want to hear. It was T-Mac and XL. Could have been, really, it was kind of, when it comes to explosive plays, it was XL and then T-Mac. But, T-Mac had more catches. I want to say he had like 3 or 4, or I think he had like 4 catches, 4 or 5, and then XL I think only had 1 or 2, but he did have those explosive close plays. You feel me? He did get shaken up a little bit, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's looking good. It don't look like he's writing back. I know we kind of y'all ragging on him on Twitter because of the video, and which we'll touch on. First off, when you talk about that route, great route by XL. That double move is obviously working for him. It worked for him last year, but it looks like it's working a lot more this year. And he's easier when it comes to his speed. He's gliding downfield. He ran right by Mike Jackson. Let's talk about the throw. Tad underthrown? I don't think so. Put in the wrong spot? Maybe you can argue. If you look at the play, Bryce Young is scrambling out. He throws the ball when both his cleats are off the ground because he's trying not to get sacked. He scrambled out and flicked it 45, 50 yards. Impressive throw, and it got there. For guys who talk about his arm a lot in the first 2 years, hey, it was there. But it got there in the rain too. Balls were wet. Pause. It got there. But now what I want to say is the reason it may look underthrown, he put it inside when XL had an outside release. So XL started tracking the ball inside, kind of with that T-Mac catch when they were doing one-on-ones, and Sheena posted it where T-Mac had that deep catch over Mike Jackson where he kind of looked it in over his shoulder. There was a lot of argument about that when it came to separation. But yeah, it was almost the same thing where, hey, XL had him beat, but when he tracked the ball, Mike Jackson has decent recovery speed. This is the second time was able to get back into the play. Now, it was a PI. He did jump on him before he got there, but it did hit XL in the chest. I'll say I'm not blaming him for that, but regardless, we're getting the ball at the 1-yard line, so it doesn't matter. But I will say, if you want to fault him for dropping it, you shouldn't, because it was a PI. But it does show the difference in elite receivers and what I think XL will be, which could still be a great receiver. I do want to point that out because the speed that he was showing and the yak that he was showing, he could be that. He could be a great receiver, but I think if it's a Jamar Chase out there, that's probably a catch through the PI, something like that. And you don't want to compare him to Jamar Chase, but the only reason I do bring that up is because there was a throw similar that T-Mac brought in. Not to compare and contrast to, not to rag on XL. Like I said, I think he looked great. So let me not even keep going because I feel like y'all gonna try to twist it and say it in something else. XL looked great, and those were the 2 most prominent receivers on the first team. That's important to know. Now moving on. You feel me? Now moving on. Heavy mix of Chuba and Rico Dowdle. I'm not gonna lie. If you see Chuba's snaps, I won't say carries. His carries will go down, obviously, because there's another back there. But if you see his snaps in general get cut down by a lot, maybe 35%, don't be surprised. There was a lot of Rico Dowdle routes. There was a lot of Rico Dowdle carries. I'm just pointing it out. I mean, and Rico Dowdle was a 1,000-yard back last year. He has some explosiveness. He's a little more explosive than Chuba to me, with better long speed. So that says a lot. Now, what is interesting to me is Trevor Etienne. We'll kind of start covering the second team just in a second, but just flashback to second team right quick. Trevor Etienne was the second team running back with Andy Dalton, and he kind of split it with Rasheem Blackshear. here and there. Raheem really didn't get Raheem really didn't get many carries on the second team. It was mostly Trevor Etienne getting those, but there were no routes from Trevor Etienne. Remember, I talked about Chuba being out there and empty. There's a play where Rico Dowdle was out there at wide receiver, got a reception. Both of our starting running backs got receptions. Not many for Trevor Etienne, which is interesting because I thought we drafted him to be a returner / receiving back, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So that's interesting because where does that leave a guy like Jonathan Brooks? You look at it, we got Dowdle on a 1-year deal. He's probably going to walk out there just because we already paid a running back. You drafted Trevor Etienne in the 3rd, 4th round, so there is some sort of assets there. But are they waiting on Jonathan Brooks to come back to be that receiving back and take the Rico Dowdle role? I don't know. It's interesting. I think there's room for him to still have, a chance to come in here and make an impact on the game. But we'll see. I don't know. Moving on to the next thing. Shout out to Azero Evero. It was one specific play, which I'll have up here. I credited to Turk, Tershawn Warren. Shout out to Turk. He autographed my helmet back there. If y'all see, he was cool. I got him scoring Damian Lewis. I feel like it's somebody else that I'm not thinking of. But yeah, shout out to Turk. But Turk, I gave the credit to Turk. Really what it was, which is funny because I just wrote an article on this. It was a very creative sim blitz. But it wasn't a sim blitz because it was a blitz. It was that fire zone blitz that Evero ran more than anybody in the league, where your fire zone is basically you're sending 5 guys. You're sending one guy that's probably a free safety, or not a free safety, but a safety in general, or a linebacker, and you're sending 5 guys 5 on 5. Now, what was impressive, he sent Mike Jackson, because it was a condensed split from T-Mac. He sent Mike Jackson on the corner blitz. He had Turk at defensive tackle in the 3 technique on the left side of the line. He has Pat Jones in the 3 technique on the right side of the line. You have Princely on the outside. You send Roseboom and you send Mike Jackson from his corner position. That sends 3 guys at Ikem Ekwonu Dolo. Not to diss Ikem Ekwonu, but that is, if not the weakest link on our offensive line, at the very least our weakest tackle. So you're sending 3 guys at your weakest tackle from the blind side of Bryce Young. He has to roll out, but from the 3 technique, basically Turk is running contain outside and beating Timo. Not necessarily beating him because Bryce kind of ran into the pressure, but he had to. There's 3 guys coming down there. Really, really good simmed up blitz from Evero. That was a very creative blitz that I did not see him use in that kind of way last year. Maybe I'm tripping, but I did want to give him credit because we've crapped on him a lot in the past year. So shout out to him on that play. I would love to see more stuff like that when the season comes around. Moving on, good scheme from Canales on that XL touchdown. This is one I want to touch about. I talked about how fast he looked and how he was burning angles, but Canales ran a really, really good play. I'm not sure if they were wearing quarters or if they were wearing man coverage. The way that Mike Jackson played it, I don't think they were in man coverage because then he just left his assignment to be wide open. But regardless, he was beat if they were in man or in zone. So you have a corner route from Adam Thielen, and then you have a return route, which is basically like a pivot, but instead of going outside, you're flipping it inside. So a return route from XL as the outside receiver, corner route from the slot from Adam Thielen. That takes the safety towards the corner, outside deep. That leaves the middle of the field open underneath for XL to return back into. Now, Mike Jackson had outside leverage. He already bit on the outside on the return. When XL went inside, Mike Jackson, this is what makes me think maybe it was quarters, he floats to Adam Thielen, thinking, oh, Bryce is going to hit this whole shot. No, Bryce dumps it off the XL. There's nothing but green grass. Nobody's in the middle of the field. That was some good scheming from Canales. I did like that route concepts. I wanted to shout him out because I had a lot to say about his route concepts last year and having guys in the same space. I do like to see him creating space for guys much more this year. I like that. Next thing I want to talk about, I know I've been kind of yapping, I ain't gonna lie. Cam Jackson is a monster. I ain't gonna lie. He's a monster against the run. When I seen him out there, I said, man, he is the biggest guy out there. He looks bigger than everybody as an NFL player. And on the run, he was on the second team defense. That's Trevor Etienne got all the carries. He wasn't going nowhere. He wasn't carrying the ball far. 75, who I can't think of because I don't know if he'll necessarily make the team. I'm sorry to that man. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. 75 at D tackle and Cam Jackson inside were just destroying running lanes. And then you had Lathan Ransom, who we'll talk to him about a little bit in just a second, who was just being a missile flying towards the ball, trying to hit people like it was a real live game. But yeah, Cam Jackson, he's just, I want to say, I seen at the very least 3 defensive stops, which is basically tackles at the line of scrimmage or TFLs. Really, really good from a guy who's playing basically 1 eye, 2 technique, not too much 3, almost nose sometimes. I liked what I seen from Cam Jackson a lot. And when they took Cam Jackson out of the second team defense for a red zone period, I want to say, not a red zone period, but they were kind of going from the 50 down. There was a noticeable difference in the run defense when Cam Jackson was not on the second team defensive line. So watch out for him maybe this year, maybe later on down the line, because we do got a lot of defensive tackles. Anyways, shout out to Lathan Ransom. He was just a man on a mission. I can't remember who the receiver was, but Andy Dalton threw a post that had toward downfield, about 30 yards downfield in the back of the end zone, and had a receiver leave his feet. And Lathan Ransom decided to leave his feet and put to the crown of his helmet through that receiver's face mask to break the ball up at full speed. And I was like, yo, relax. Hey, I like that you're giving us a show for Fan Fest, but hey, let's all get out of here with no injuries, you feel me? And it wasn't just that play. He laid the boom on my boy Trevor Etienne a couple times, coming down flying. I mean, and they were tackling out there a little bit. They weren't deliberately trying to bring guys down, but if guys touched the grass, they weren't in trouble. It was cool. So he was out there flying, really just trying to hit guys. I will say he does look better breaking down and actually wrapping up for the tackles. He's not just flinging himself into guys and the ball carries as much as I seen on tape. But then again, this was practice. But he can still fix his tackling angles. Some of the angles was so I do want to see that improve. Jimmy Horn probably doesn't play a lot right now, but what I seen I liked. It's shaping up for him to be, you know, some sort of contributor. I think it's too many mouths to feed right now towards the bottom of that receiver roster. And I didn't bring him up, but Adam Thielen was basically non-existent except for one play where Bryce was a tick out there, but he kind of dropped it. I don't know. It could be on both of them. But yeah, he wasn't getting too much love. It was mostly XL and T-Mac. So it's just too many mouths to feed. But Jimmy Horn, I did like what I seen. He looked like he was really twitched up, getting open against guys on pivots, return routes. He had the first touchdown of the day on like a little red zone fly, whatever it is, fly motion where he just goes past the line of scrimmage on play action. It's wide open in the flat. Y'all know the play. Run it all the time. And in red zone for most teams. But yeah, Jimmy Horn looked good. He had 2 touchdowns today, actually, because he had one on a corner route where he basically had a safety and 10 yards of depth against him. And it was like, yeah, I'm just going to release off the line and just get outside. And he had a touchdown. So I like what I seen from Jimmy Horn. He also had a good tackle on that fake punt against Lathan Ransom. So, yeah, okay, it's good. Looked like he'll be our starting punt returner at the very least. Coker just couldn't. This is hard to say because my boy is getting a video very soon. And Coker, I won't say nothing now because it was kind of like this last year where I didn't feel his presence much at the training camps that I went to. And then he got in the game in the season and started hooping. But I didn't feel his presence much again. All right, man, camera died. So let's wrap this up. It's 1 a.m., 1:30 actually. I'm tired. And I still got to edit this. So hopefully, like I said, I was saying something about Jalen Coker hopefully not being lost in the shuffle. Don't think his roster spot is at risk or anything, but I do want to see him reach his ceiling by being that third wide receiver eventually, replacing Adam Thielen, because I think there's a one-to-one replacement. We'll talk about that in the video. But yeah, he just couldn't get any, he couldn't make an impact tonight. Andy Dalton couldn't find him. He tried to, I think he targeted him twice. Andy Dalton missed him both times. David Moore is making much more of an impact. David Moore is trying to make them keep 7 receivers. So, I mean, David Moore had at least 4. I think he had the most catches out of anybody tonight, including T-Mac, including all the starting guys, period. He had like 5-6 catches, and one of them was downfield. Well, 2 of them was downfield. 2 of them were a dig. 2 of them were underneath. I think he had a touchdown catch. David Moore was doing his thing on that second team with Hunter Renfrow out. It's going to make it a very hard chopping block at the end of the roster whenever we get to that last week of the preseason. But yeah, man, if you like the video, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Be on the lookout for the Jalen Coker video. Let me know if you want to see any other videos. I'm done yapping. I'm tired. Let's go to bed. Good night.